start to connect with the universal mind. And this is what they call enlightenment. This is when your crown chakra, it's about this big around your head now. Your third eye, which was right here now, it's the Cyclops eye. It's this big. And they touching right here. Because the lens, this lens is fully open. So it's just like a big eye right here, like Cyclops. The lens is open. Your third eye, you cannot be deceived at that point. You can see all deception in front of your face at that point. But it don't happen in 2 days. So you're going to read 2 books and get there. Because the energy inside is going to move according to your work. Some of us, there is accelerated techniques for a strong, disciplined person. That's different. But for the average person, you're not going to get there instantly. But if you are diligently doing your part, when the time comes, you're going to be there. When that light turn on, all you got to do is from wherever you at right now, do your part in developing your internal self. And when the light turn on, everything you need is going to line straight up for you to facilitate it. You don't have to do no whole lot of, like most people need, you got to study 8-10 hours a day. You might come home, be tired, but you might pick up a book on the side of your bed, read 1 page or 1 paragraph, put it down and think about it. Let it swirl around in your mind. You ain't got to read the whole book that day. Let that information swirl around in your mind. Analyze it. Think about it. What did you just read? If it's a poem, don't matter. Analyze the poem. And this is how studying works. Because in studying, if you want to memorize and utilize the information the best, the first opportunity that you have after you absorb it, you have to cycle it. You have to give it to somebody else to give it back to you to explain to them. So basically, you read something in the book and you're thinking about it, and you're like, I wonder what my homeboy Joe think about this. Hey, yo, Joe, check this out. And you tell him, I just read this, man. What's your take on that? And he feed it back to you. It don't work like that. It worked like this. So now it's bringing that information and structure it better in the mind by discussing it. And that's why they have study groups. That's the whole purpose of study groups, is for people to exchange the information so they don't lose it. Because you can read a book with all of the secrets in the universe straight through and don't never think about it again, and you can't use none of the information. Subconsciously, it's just sitting there waiting to be used, but you never activated the RAM with the hard drive. You never made the pathway. So the RAM didn't make a pathway to the hard drive. It fractured it. So now you need to defrag the computer, basically. And that's what you do. But if you read it in a study group and y'all go over it together, everybody, I see it like this. And this is why the conscious community need to realize this is a purpose. So when they stand on there and say he all wrong and she all wrong, and the person that's saying that is actually the one that's actually wrong, because the whole purpose of people seeing stuff different is to give you a broader view of life and a broader view of information and how to use it. If you can only see as a Christian and you can't never see the world from the view of a Muslim, then you can never say that the Muslim is wrong or right, because you never investigated. You have no way of knowing. So the study group produces a side effect, and it's called the mastermind group. And that goes to one of my next videos when I give y'all business references. But the biblical reference for the study group is when 2 or more, there I am also. What they're talking about. That universal mind is pure Christ consciousness. When you put a bunch of people together to solve a problem, they draw from the higher intellect, the universal mind or Christ consciousness, in order to resolve the matter. So this is why you need the unity. The unity is going to draw the more Christ consciousness into each individual, and then we'll be able to stand in opposition to the oppression and to the enemy without breaking down, because we know I am my brother's keeper, and where I am, my brother is there also. And from that point, that sense of isolation that's the cause of the fear is gone. See, and that's why the divide and conquer works so well, because when they get to the individual level and turn us all nomadic and individual, and make the men not want to be in the house with the women, and the women not want the men in the house with them, and make the kids miserable because their parents not together, or whatever the case may be. All these divide and conquer tactics that they've used against us is only to generate the fear. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier about when you take in the information, you have to relax so that the energy can swirl correctly. As long as you have that fear factor, that energy is going to be self-sabotaging. But remove the fear factor, and then that energy becomes rejuvenating and empowering. And this is why I tell the females to study that mitochondrial, because Christ consciousness is your battery on your DNA. That's Christ consciousness. Your battery, because the mitochondria is the battery. So divine masculine and divine feminine together is two batteries. And when you bring them together, they become the remote control that changes the bullshit of life together. When they separate, they got to take the struggle on until they're strong enough to come together against all odds. When they link and sync, it's like a remote control. Anything you don't like, you can change in seconds. But as long as we don't know where our power is and to tap into it, then we are at a disadvantage. And that's why I gave y'all some study materials. And this is mostly beginner information and beginner study material, because I can't take y'all from 0 to 1,000 miles an hour. So to keep y'all from getting whiplash, I kind of like brought y'all in at some, well, it's a little, that's not quite kindergarten. It's like first, second grade information here. But except for the Neely Fuller and the reference material, because those are going to be anything that you're going to always have to go back to. That's called a reference. That's why you had to always go back to it. Like I might be reading, let's say I'm reading the yoga book right here, and I run across some animal in there. I got to refer back to my totem, my dictionary of totem animals. Why does he keep bringing this animal into the subject matter? Now you know what it is. And with that, I hope I was able to get y'all started on y'all journey. I'm going to do one specifically for women and the divine feminine awakening. I got a lot of videos to share on that subject. So with that, I say thank y'all for watching. I hope I was able to help y'all out. And until she arrives, I'll talk to y'all later. And I'm going to keep doing this until she tells me to stop. All right. So peace and love, and to the awakening and the resurrection. Here we come. Of decoy ducks, and you throw them in the lake so that the ducks flying over think there's some ducks down there. Hey man, that must be a good place to park, until them shotguns come out. So everything that we are divided on is a decoy duck. All of the decoys is to get the collective down there with the decoys so we can all run into that shotgun together. Now we got an option. Stop chasing decoys. We all have common denominators. The common denominators is defining power. Malcolm said it. You're not oppressed because you're a Christian. You're not oppressed because you a Muslim. You're not oppressed because you're a Democrat or a Republican. You're not oppressed because you are heterosexual or homosexual. You're not oppressed for any of them reasons. The only reason you oppressed is because you look like me. That's what Malcolm said. Anybody don't believe it, I could put the video in the comments when I'm done, because it's on YouTube. And what we don't know hurts us more than the things that we know. What we don't know is more damaging, because we are blindly walking a path, because that's what ignorance puts, blinders on you. And the verse said about this error. Now pay attention. It say, many shall roam to and fro. That's confusion. But knowledge shall be increased. If the knowledge is more than it ever was, it's increased in volume or content or quality, the knowledge, but the people still running in confusion. This would sound like our conscious community being divided amongst itself. And so in closing out, we want to send condolences out to the family of Nipsey Hussle, and pay attention to what they don't say equally as well as what they do say. Because I know they don't always give us a genuine story. And before I go, I haven't had the opportunity to pull his FBI file. There is one thing I would be looking for in his FBI file if I wanted to know if it was a hit or a random act of gang violence. There is a 3-letter organization. Every single celebrity that has died or have appeared to have died in the last 50 years, the same 3-letter organization is in their file, intimidating, extorting, offering up protection against extortion. But the same 3-letter organization is in every single dead celebrity of a nefarious nature in their file. That's not normal. It's not normal that this many people that die of a mysterious cause of overdoses and assassinations and odd sexual fixations, all these celebrities got the same 3-letter organization in their FBI file. Every one of them, but nobody mentions it. Why would the same people be in David Carradine's FBI file, Kurt Cobain's FBI file, Marilyn Monroe's FBI file, and John Lennon's FBI file, Michael Jackson's FBI file, Prince FBI file, and they also in Tupac FBI file, Biggie FBI file, the same fucking 3-letter organization in all of these dead celebrities and those that appear to be dead FBI files. But nobody's asking any questions about it. So pay attention to what they don't say as well as what they do say. And be leery of MK Ultra. And this is how you know if MK Ultra is part of this program. In MK Ultra, all of the hypno assassins, what they call your Manchurian candidates, they will have 2 things almost every single time. They will either be ex-military or ex-mental patient. Ex-military or ex-mental patient. Every one of them. Every one of them. Now, go to all the way back to 1984 restaurant shootings, because it started before the post office, where people forget. It was Jack in the Box and McDonald's in the early 80s. That didn't get the guns out of the public. So then they went from the restaurants and the mass shootings to the post office. And then they came out with the term going postal. That didn't get rid of the guns. So then then they went to the schools, right? Now, inner city gangbangers been shooting at schools since at least the 70s that I'm aware of. From being Inglewood area of Chicago, seeing shootouts at Longfellow and Kershaw as a little boy. And it was nothing back then. I mean, they were shooting revolvers. They wasn't shooting AKs and stuff like that. But it was shootings at schools back in the 70s, but it never was a big deal until recently. So, but I want y'all to do the research, because I'm going to give y'all something that y'all going to find a very odd coincidence in all of these mass shootings, even up into the ones down in Florida and Vegas. Everybody in there was on a combination of any of these drugs. It was either Prozac and Adderall, or Adderall and Ritalin. They normally say they were being treated for bipolar or manic depression, or they were being treated for some type of mood disorder or deep depression. But there are all these drugs that they're going to be on. It's going to be almost cookie cutter. All of them are going to be mental patients. You're not going to, only ones you're not going to find as mental patients going to be ex-military. But all of them are going to be on some type of psychiatric medication to treat some type of psychiatric stuff. But if you go to the MK Ultra file, it's public record now, it's not hidden, and you look up the drugs that they found to be most favorable in the creation of a Manchurian candidate, you'll find that Prozac, Ritalin, and Adderall are some of the top 10. They're in the top 10 drugs used in order to create a Manchurian candidate. Now, the case with Nipsey, I'm not going to, because I haven't did my research on his case yet, and I'm so hurt about the loss of brother that I don't even really want to look into it right now. I just personally just want to tear some shit up, but I can't do that. I promised Mama I would save as many as possible. So if you want to investigate, I'm going to tell you where to look, right? Look for the young man they see and done it being either ex-military or ex-mental patient. What they do there is they use a series of hypnosis and narcosis to program them and split their personality. So they create a controllable schizophrenic. It's just like in the movie Sybil, where when one personality takes over, the other one is unaware. And they show you this in various movies so that you understand how the switch works. But they're not going to tell you this is what we're doing until you go into their paperwork and you see that this is what they was doing. It was first being taught by a hypnotist named Esther Brooks. Esther Brooks taught them how to split the consciousness into two distinct people. Now, when they do that, the person that everybody know is the same, and before and after. But when you take that switch, the only way you'll know that it's not the same person is you have to look in their eyes, because they won't blink. Their eyes will not oscillate side to side. They will have a dead straight stare even when their head moves. Whatever the target is will be their primary point of focus. They will be so focused on the target that if another person was to interfere at an angle, they couldn't see him coming. All of this peripheral has been closed into a narrow field of vision for that person, what they call tunnel vision. And all of the records of MK Ultra explain it exactly how it works. So if you want to investigate if Nipsey was just shot with random gang violence, or if it was a MK Ultra hypno assassin, this is the tools you need to do your investigation. I have not done mine yet. I'm just telling you what to look for. Because if you find that 3-letter organization in Nipsey Hussle file, which I forgot to tell y'all the name of it because most people won't mention them, but it's the JDL, it's the Jewish Defense League. The Jewish Defense League. They the ones that's in everybody FBI file. Now, that's not just a coincidence either. Now, check this out. Members, notable members of the Jewish Defense League: Jimmy Iovine, Ted Fields, Clive Davis, Tommy Mottola. I can keep going. I can keep going. But you get the point. If Jimmy Iovine and Ted Fields at Interscope signed Tupac for all these millions of dollars when he dropped that album, he needed 1.5 to get out of prison. He had the #1 album in the country and can't bind out. But the album came out like right before he went to jail, so he hadn't even had a chance to get any of his royalties yet. If he'd have got his first royalty check, he could have bonded it out. It never came. It never came. And Suge Knight didn't have nothing to do